The movie opens on a rainy night when a young woman so young leaves her newborn baby boy outside a church. After a while, Detective Lee, alongside her assistant Soo Jin, who have been keeping an eye on So Young, picks him up and places him inside the designated box. After a while, two friends, Dong Soo and Sang Hyun, take the baby inside when they find a note from the mother addressing the baby as Woo Song and promising to pick him up later. After being unable to find any contact information, the duo who actually sells such babies decides to keep him and remove his footage from the surveillance tape. They take Woo Song back home without knowing that they are being constantly watched by Detective Lee. A few days later, So Young shows up at the church's daycare and inquires about Woo Song. Dong Soo, who works at the church, shows her around, but she cannot find her child among them. After finding out that she did not leave any contact information with the baby, Dong Soo tells her that even if she finds him, she won't be able to prove herself as his mother. Soon, the conversation is interrupted by the principal, but he tells her the same thing, that they don't have her baby because she did not leave him inside the box. Knowing she is the mother of the baby they took earlier, Dong Soo takes her home where she meets Sang Hyun. He tells her if there is a letter with the baby, the church takes him off the adoption list and sends him to the daycare. Sang Hyun says that she might have done it out of love for the baby, but if the baby is not adopted, it narrows down his future possibilities. He adds that he wanted to save Woo Song from having a dark future, so he took him from the box. The duo reveals that they pick up such babies and find adoptive parents for them so they can grow up in a warm home instead of the daycare. So Young gets upset, thinking that they don't have the right to do so, but they disagree with her and scold her for throwing the baby away in the first place. After learning that they actually sell the babies to the couples who want to adopt, So Young calls them brokers who take advantage of the situation. Worried about her baby's fate, she decides to stay with them until they find a suitable couple to adopt him. Dong Soo and So Young prepare to leave with the baby while Sang Hyun deals with the landlord Taeho, who demands the money which he once lent them. After handling the situation, Sang Hyun joins Dong Soo and So Young in the van before they leave on a journey to find adoptive parents for Woo Song. A few hours later, they meet the first buyer, but he complains about the baby's features and intends to pay a lot less than what he initially agreed. This leads to a heated argument over the payment, and it disturbs So Young, who refuses to give her baby to this client. Upon returning to the van, Sang Hyun gets mad at her for messing up the deal. He advises her to behave well next time, and she asks him to find another buyer because she does not want to consider this one. Meanwhile, the police find the dead body of a guy named Song in an apartment and begin the murder investigation. On the other side, Dong Soo takes them to a community he spent most of his childhood in. After getting a warm welcome from the kids, he introduces So Young as Sang Hyun's wife because he does not want to risk his reputation. The group is having dinner with the caretaker and her family when they talk about the adoption. So Young gets upset after learning that the kids sometimes get mistreated by their new parents, but she still stays firm on her decision of giving up Woo Song for adoption because she does not have any other choice. After the dinner, the group talks about finding another buyer when So Young shares that she does not want to keep the baby because it's very difficult to raise a child alone. Dong Soo disagrees with her, but she thinks he has no right to question her because he sells the babies. Dong Soo tells her they do so because people like her throw the babies away. So Young replies by saying that if they do not want the babies to be thrown, they should not have kept a box outside the church, but Dong Soo tells her it's a good thing because it saved Woo Song, who might have died otherwise. She complains about his bossy attitude, especially after he scolds her for not leaving any contact information, but Dong Soo storms out without any explanation. After he leaves, Sang Hyun reveals he was also left in a box by her mother, who left a note that she will pick him up later, but she never came back. As they spend some time in the community, Dong Soo shares his thoughts about settling down here. Sang Hyun keeps him from this decision by telling him that he is the only hope for many abandoned children, so he should not give up on what he does. After waking up the next morning, So Young apologizes to Dong Soo for her rude behavior and shares how she has lived a deprived life since her childhood. On the other side, police continue the investigation that brings up So Young's name. Detective Lee gets a call informing her about the murder related to prostitution. After learning about So Young's involvement, she requests the officer to give her 3 days to make sure the baby gets sold in that time, and then they can arrest So Young. While Lee is busy planning her next step, Sang Hyun and Dong Soo are thinking about finding another buyer. While talking about the deal, Sang Hyun feels someone's presence in the van and pulls over. It's a young boy, Hae Jin, who has been hiding in the back since they left the community. Sang Hyun decides to send Haejin back, but has to change his mind after learning that the kid knows about their plan of selling Woo-song. When Sang Hyun and Dong-soo decide to take Haejin with them, Detective Lee and Soo-jin prepare a couple to meet the group as buyers. On their way forward, the group is stopped by the police, but Haejin helps them maintain the cover of a family as he tells the officer they are on their way to an amusement park. After a while, they meet some other buyers at the party. Although the couple assures them that they will take care of the baby, Dong-soo has negative feelings about them, so he announces to cancel the deal with them. When they return to the van, Dong-soo tells them that the couple might be planning to resell Woo-song. Later on, when the group makes a quick stop at a convenience store, So-young gets a call from an unknown number where someone asks her to hand over the baby. The woman mentions that she already paid her 5 million won to get an abortion and asks why she did not comply, but So-young drops the call without any explanation. After the call, she also has a brief meeting with Detective Lee and Soo-jin, who convince her to side with them and help arrest them. Baby Woo-song gets sick the next morning. Both Dong-soo and Sang Hyun think taking him to the hospital might get them exposed, but they don't have a choice as the baby's condition is getting worse with time. They eventually go see a doctor who examines Woo-song and advises them to bring him back the next day, but they have no plans to comply. On the other hand, Detective Lee and Soo-jin, who are still after them, think if the baby does not get better, he might not get sold and they would have to delay So-young's arrest. After listening to her, Soo-jin shares her concerns that they should have done something for the mother instead of now worrying about the baby, but Lee tells her it's the health department's job and not theirs. Lee also expresses her displeasure with So-young for abandoning her baby, but Soo-jin thinks she cannot understand So-young's true feelings because she has never been in the same place as hers. At the hospital, So-young thanks Sang Hyun for taking care of the baby. Sang Hyun asks her about the father, but she changes the subject. Meanwhile, Song's wife meets the police officers and orders them to find Woo-song at the earliest. When the officer asks why she's concerned about the kid, the woman reveals that she wants to raise him because he is her husband's illegal son. As she talks to the officers, Sang Hyun gets a call learning that Song's wife is willing to pay 4,000 won for the baby. At night, after putting Haejin to sleep, Dong-soo tells So-young that he takes care of him because Haejin is one of the babies who never get sold at a good price and are left behind just like him. When So-young asks about his mother who never came back for him, Dong-soo finds out that Sang Hyun has already told her about his past and tells her he never thought his mother would abandon him. Seeing her take care of the baby, Dong-soo asks her to keep her distance as he believes once she gets attached to the baby, she won't be able to let him go, but she does not take his concerns seriously. While talking to him, So-young gets a text from Detective Lee and decides to meet her outside the hotel. Upon meeting, So-young discloses that she has been involved in prostitution for a long time and confesses to killing Song out of rage after he misbehaved with her. Lee assures her she wants to help her out, but So-young does not believe her and asks if she has ever abandoned a child. Lee thinks So-young should have considered abortion if she had plans to abandon Woo-song later, but Soo-young thinks it would have been a similar crime. They get into an argument as both think the other person is not trying to understand her point, and So-young storms out in frustration. At the hotel, Haejin questions the group about the buyer when Sang Hyun tells them they are trying to find a rich person. When Dong-soo talks about Haejin, who never saw his parents' faces, So-young tells him she does not want Woo-song to see hers. She also confesses being a murderer and reveals she killed Woo-song's father and now wants to take him away because the guy's wife is still looking for her. After a while, Dong-soo and Sang Hyun find a tracking device in the van, which makes them suspicious as they think someone from Woo-song's paternal side is after them. They are now worried that they won't be able to make a deal. Dong-soo says this time they should not care about the money, but about finding someone So-young is satisfied with. Both agree on the plan and stick together until they find a suitable buyer who can be the best adoptive parent for Woo-song. Later on, Taeho meets Sang Hyun and tells him that although Woo-song's father is dead, his wife is still looking for him. Taeho tells Sang Hyun that she wants to raise the baby, but Sang Hyun does not believe him. When Sang Hyun refuses to hand over Woo-song, the heated argument leads to a fight between Taeho and Sang Hyun, but Dong-soo intervenes and knocks Taeho unconscious. The group decides to continue through the metro to dodge the detectives who are still after them. Since So-young has left a clue for Lee, she thinks So-young is intentionally leading them on because she wants them to keep an eye on Woo-song and make sure he is alright. On the bus, Sang Hyun asks So-young if she really had the plan to come back for Woo-song. Seeing him concerned, So-young replies that things would have been a lot better if she had met them earlier, but it's too late now. Heijin then interrupts the conversation and distracts So Young by asking her questions about Woo Song's name. Talking about her child, So Young tells him that she wanted Woo Song to achieve something big in his life. Later, they meet another couple who tells them they experienced a stillbirth and want to adopt a baby to avoid going through that pain again. The lady picks up Woo Song and instantly bonds with him, but So Young gets upset to see her getting close to Woo Song. The guy tells them he wants to adopt Woo Song and raise him like his own son, but they have a condition. His biological mother won't be allowed to meet him. After the meeting, they take Heijin to the amusement park at his request. While Sang Hyun is busy with him, Dong-soo tells So Young that if she is not satisfied with the couple, they can find someone else or raise him together like a family, but she doesn't think it's possible. Being aware of his feelings for her, So Young wishes she could start over, but know that it's not an option because she might get arrested for murder soon. While talking to him, So Young tells him that she threw her child away because she did not want to raise him as a murderer's child, but she still considers herself responsible for abandoning him. Meanwhile, Sang Hyun meets his daughter. He tells her that he has enough money that they can live together again, but the girl informs him that her mother is going to have a baby. Although upset about his wife cheating on him, Sang Hyun assures his daughter that he will always be there for her. After the girl leaves, the group moves to another hotel while talking about the couple who met them earlier. As they have to hand Woo Song over the next day, they urge So Young to talk to him for the last time, and she thanks everyone for being there with her. So Young also meets Detective Lee again, who suggests she should turn herself in. Lee tells her if she goes to the jury, she might get an early parole and be with Woo Song again. Lee thinks she should give up on the idea of finding adoptive parents for Woo Song, but So Young knows Dong-soo and Sang Hyun won't be able to take care of the baby for a long time, so she rejects the idea. Dong-soo and Sang Hyun soon find out about So Young's meeting with Detective Lee. Dong-soo thinks she won't turn her back on them, but Sang Hyun disagrees by saying she will do whatever she thinks is good for her son. After a while, Taeho meets them again and demands to hand over Woo Song to him. Sang Hyun tries to keep him from taking Woo Song and tells him the woman he is working for might hurt the baby. During the conversation, Sang Hyun offers to start a business together and reveals he does not want to continue working with Dong-soo. Later on, the same couple meets the group again and apologizes for being arrogant the other day. The guy tells them that Woo Song's mother can meet him anytime she wants because they don't want to hide anything from him. While they discuss their deal, Detective Lee shows up and arrests Dong-soo for child trafficking. He learns that So Young snitched on him, but it's too late now. After telling him that So Young turned herself in, Lee asks about Sang Hyun, but Dong-soo denies having any connection with him. A few years later, Detective Lee still meets Woo Song, who now lives with his adoptive parents. After getting released from jail, Dong-soo was never seen again. So Young got released early and now works at the gas station, but she never tried interacting with Woo Song again. If you enjoyed that recap, I got a good feeling you'll enjoy this one too. Click on the video on your screen for more.